Hello everyone, welcome back to Grandma's Storytime channel. Today we are going to read together Disney's DuckTales, Dinosaur Ducks. Scrooge McDuck just couldn't believe it. There couldn't possibly be any dinosaurs around nowadays. "That's what I used to think," said Launchpad McQuack, "until I went to the island and saw them with my own eyes. I was almost squashed to death by a Tyrannosaurus." "We must leave at once," said an excited Scrooge. Launchpad thought it was too dangerous. "But just think, if I could bring a diplodocus back to Duckburg, people would pay to see it," said Scrooge. "We'll go with you," said his nephews. "No," said Scrooge firmly. "You're much too young." Huey, Dewey, and Louie said the same thing to Webby when she wanted to go too. A few days later, supplies for the trip were put on the helicopter. One big crate held 3 stowaways, Scrooge's nephews. The picnic basket held another stowaway, Webby. Soon the helicopter was flying over a small island. "We can still turn back," said Launchpad. "Don't be silly," said Scrooge. "Take us down a bit. We might see a dinosaur." Suddenly, a dinosaur with wings flew toward them. "It's going to attack!" cried Launchpad. The creature hit the helicopter, sending it out of control. "Hold on!" shouted Launchpad. "We're going to crash!" "I'll get the parachutes," said Scrooge, moving toward the back of the helicopter. He found the largest box and lifted the lid. Huey, Dewey, and Louie stared up at him. "Burst me bagpipes! What are you doing here?" cried Scrooge. "And where are the parachutes?" "We wanted to come along, Uncle Scrooge. We took all the old clothes out so we could fit in." As they spoke, Webby stuck her head out of the basket, but nobody noticed that she was there. "No parachutes," groaned Scrooge. "Hurry, Mr. McD," yelled Launchpad. "Quickly, lads, into the passenger seat and put on the safety belt," ordered Scrooge. Launchpad fought to keep the helicopter under control. "There is no parachute," Scrooge told him. "You're going to have to land this thing." Scrooge pulled the lever, opening a door underneath the boys' seat. As the chair dropped out of the helicopter, a parachute connected to the seat opened up. They floated to the ground safely, while a mother dinosaur and her baby looked on. Launchpad fought bravely to land the helicopter safely. "Hang on tight," he cried. "We're going down." The helicopter crashed into a cliff, rolled over a few times, then came to rest on a ledge. Scrooge grabbed the picnic basket, and he and Launchpad got out of the helicopter. Then they climbed up the cliff. Meanwhile, the baby dinosaur was hiding behind the rocks, watching the 3 creatures who had fallen from the sky. "Where is Uncle Scrooge and Launchpad?" Dewey wondered. The brothers decided to try and find them. They didn't know where to begin looking, so they just picked a direction and started walking right into the baby dinosaur. Huey, Dewey, and Louie screamed and ran. The baby dinosaur was frightened too. He ran into the other direction. Scrooge and Launchpad were looking for the boys. Suddenly they were surrounded by a group of cave ducks. "Stand back," warned Scrooge. "Launchpad has a black belt in karate." The cave ducks didn't seem to understand. When the cave ducks had taken Scrooge and Launchpad away as prisoners, Webby climbed out of the basket and went looking for the boys. She heard their screams and she went in the direction of the noise. She found a baby dinosaur. "Oh, what a cute little animal," she cried, petting him. "Why were you afraid of him? He's so sweet." Scrooge's nephews were ashamed of themselves, but they were also surprised to see Webby. "How did you get here?" asked Huey. Webby exclaimed that she had hidden in the picnic basket. Then she told them what had happened to Launchpad and Uncle Scrooge. "The dinosaur can help us rescue them," said Dewey. "Okay," agreed his brothers. "Webby, stay here." By this time, Launchpad and Scrooge had been tied to a tree, and the leader of the cave ducks was dancing around wearing Scrooge's top hat. Scrooge's nephews rode into the village on the baby dinosaur. They cut Scrooge and Launchpad loose and tied up the leader of the cave ducks in their place. "Leave him there," said Scrooge, taking back his top hat, "until he learns some manners." Soon they stopped to catch their breath. "You boys were terrific," said Scrooge. "How did you know what had happened?" "Webby told us," said Huey, explaining how she had been hiding in the picnic basket. "But where is she? She was supposed to be waiting for us here." They went back to the village, afraid that something had happened to Webby. They shouldn't have worried. She was sitting in front of a fire, telling a story to the cave ducks. Scrooge smiled. "Webby can charm the birds out of the trees, but we must go now." The cave duck leader grabbed Webby. "Give her to me," shouted Scrooge. But the leader refused. Finally, they decided on a trade. Webby was given back to Scrooge, and Scrooge handed over his top hat. "Let's go home," said Scrooge, giving Webby a hug. Suddenly a terrible roar shook the village. The head of a giant Tyrannosaurus loomed above the trees. Everyone was frightened. Then the cave ducks led them all to the nearest cave. But the baby dinosaur couldn't squeeze through the cave entrance. "We've got to do something," cried Webby. "Don't worry," said Launchpad. "We'll get rid of that monster." Nearby was a stack of stone wheels made by the cave ducks. Launchpad took one and rolled it toward the creature. Everyone else grabbed the wheel and did the same thing. The dinosaur lost his balance and finally fell off a cliff. When he got back to Duckburg, Scrooge went into business, offering helicopter tours to Dinosaur Island. From the air, people were able to see something alive from the far-off past. Sometimes Webby went too and played with her friend, the baby dinosaur. The end. Good night and sweet dreams.